Part 5: The Sword Master. The next morning Xiao Zhan woke up early. He went to the kitchen and made himself some coffee. Then he went to the guest room and knocked on the door. There was no answer. He knocked again, then peeked into the room. Lan Wangji wasn't there. All the bedding was on the floor. He really is flawless, Xiao Zhan thought. Of course, someone like Lan Wangji would prefer the floor to a modern bed. That would be way too soft for him. Xiao Zhan chuckled. He went to check the garden. Lan Wangji was there yesterday morning. Lan Wangji was in the garden practicing with his sword. He was wearing the clothes Xiao Zhan had given him the night before. Other than the belt being over an untucked shirt and the unfastened cuffs, he looked relatively modern. Until you got to the long hair and the headband. Xiao Zhan sat down to watch. Lan Wangji's moves were graceful and powerful. He used multiple disciplines, merging them in a seemingly flawless way. Once again, Xiao Zhan had to admire the man's dedication to the character. He also wanted to push him to his limits to see if he could get him to break character. Lan Wangji, how about a demonstration? Showmanship was frowned upon in the Lan clan, but Lan Wangji nodded. Really? Isn't that against your clan's principles? Yes. However, it is allowed under certain circumstances. Since you are currently my mentor, I must do as you ask of me. This supersedes Lan clan laws while I am in this world. Damn. So slick. Very well. Let's see what you can do. But first, you need to remove the headband. No one wears headbands in this world. To his surprise, Lan Wangji complied and removed the headband. This could be fun. Xiao Zhan set his phone camera to record so he could catch the whole thing, hoping the man would make a big enough blunder to be called out. But Lan Wangji was a whirlwind of grace, accuracy, and power. Xiao Zhan had seen many sword demonstrations. There were always some special martial arts scenes in ancient dramas, even in many modern dramas. But they were carefully stitched together using wires to help with the flips. This man did flips most people struggled to do with wires. After 10 minutes, Lan Wangji stopped and bowed to him. I apologize for making it so short. My spiritual energy has been low since I arrived in your world, and I tire more easily than I normally would, he said. The monk couldn't help you with that? Lan Wangji shook his head. He said something about my spiritual power being different than the spiritual power in this world. Perhaps over time with meditation I could adjust it. However, if I adjust to this world, I will have problems when I return to mine, Lan Wangji told him. So, he does have an agenda, and he does have a time limit, Xiao Zhan thought. Would you like some coffee? Xiao Zhan picked up his cup. It's the best thing in the morning. Almost everyone has it. Very well. Since this is the custom of this world, I will have some coffee. Xiao Zhan grinned as he walked to the kitchen to brew another cup of coffee. While he was waiting for the coffee, he pulled out his phone and texted his company. Know anyone who needs a sword master? He uploaded the video he had just taken, adding raw, no wires, and hit send. Maybe this was what the guy was after, and he'd fade out of his life once he got his foot in the door. But a part of him was hoping it wasn't. He wanted a more dramatic ending, and he wanted to know who he really was. His acting skills were quite impressive. Half an hour later, Xiao Zhan's phone rang. They were interested but had one question before wanting to see him in person. Does he have any teaching experience? Xiao Zhan asked Lan Wangji if he had any teaching experience. Lan Wangji stood there for several minutes staring at him. Xiao Zhan was about to text back no, when Lan Wangji finally said, I am a Grand Master. Xiao Zhan snorted with laughter at how Lan Wangji had put him in his place. Yes, he texted back. They were very interested and wanted to see his friend as soon as possible. Xiao Zhan asked if they could come to his house. His friend didn't have a car. There was no way to get there without a car. He was too busy to drive his friend there himself. It wouldn't be a problem in the future. They would figure something out. As he expected, the company was so impressed with what they saw that they agreed. He had 2 hours to prepare Lan Wangji. The only things Lan Wangji vehemently objected to were a haircut and buttoning his cuffs. His wrists needed to be free, he insisted. Xiao Zhan decided not to insist. Most people in the swordsmanship business had some quirks. These were not unheard of quirks. By the time the evaluation team arrived, Lan Wangji had a new name, Wan Ji, and a new look. His hair was loosely tied back with a ribbon, and he wore sunglasses all the time. Since he hadn't shaved in a few days, the few wisps of hair on his chin and upper lip finished the look made to disguise how much he resembled Wang Yiba. Xiao Zhan insisted on the name change, saying there was already a famous swordsman with the name Lan Wangji, and he didn't want them to confuse him with the other Lan Wangji. He also had a backstory to explain why Wan Ji didn't have any papers and a workaround. The monk had told Lan Wangji to listen to Xiao Zhan. Xiao Zhan was amazed at how malleable Lan Wangji had become. When he asked him about it, Lan Wangji said, "I need to get home as quickly as possible. Wei Wuxian is waiting for me." He refused to say anything more. But he did learn how to shake hands instead of bowing, even though it made him extremely uncomfortable. "I don't like touching people," he said. Xiao Zhan reassured him that he wouldn't always have to shake everyone's hand. There were times when a simple hello with a nod was enough. "This is getting complicated," Lan Wangji said. "What are you worried about?" Xiao Zhan laughed. "You're not staying in this world." Lan Wangji glared at him. "Rude," he muttered. The demonstration went perfectly. Everyone was thrilled to see that Wan Ji really could deliver what they saw in the video. They asked him some teaching-related questions that Wan Ji answered perfectly. Everyone was nodding. They had a contract for him to sign. This was when Xiao Zhan went into action. He gave Wan Ji the signal they had agreed on earlier. Wan Ji stood up and said that Xiao Zhan was acting as his agent and they should discuss the terms with him. He would sign anything Xiao Zhan approved of, and left the room. Xiao Zhan gave them a sob story about how Wan Ji's wife had thrown him out of the house with nothing but the clothes on his back, not even his papers, and had filed for divorce. She refused to communicate with him, and he couldn't get his papers. Wan Ji was born in Europe, so there was no record of his birth in China. Xiao Zhan pulled out a contract he and Wan Ji had signed and showed it to management. They wanted to hear directly from Wan Ji before agreeing. Xiao Zhan knew that the only reason they were willing to bend so much was how good Wan Ji was. He brought Wan Ji back into the room. They asked him point blank if he agreed to the terms of the contract Xiao Zhan had shown them, reading the terms out loud. Wan Ji said yes. With it there were no more objections. They changed the contract to fit the terms Xiao Zhan specified. When Xiao Zhan saw how much they were paying Wan Ji, he said, "I'm in the wrong business." But he knew this was higher than average. In any case, he was getting all the money. Xiao Zhan had suggested giving Lan Wangji half the money, the rest would pay for his room and board, and whatever else Xiao Zhan would be helping him with. But Lan Wangji just shrugged and said, "What would I do with it? This modern world currency is worthless in my world." At that moment, for the first time in the last 3 days, Xiao Zhan had entertained the possibility that this could be the real Lan Wangji. Then he laughed at himself. There was no real Lan Wangji. He was a fictional character.